Schneider Electric is the proud sponsor of this podcast series. A core value for Schneider, for both its employees and customers, is to learn every day. They trust the following will provide some learning for you today.
My name is Jo Taranto and I'm joined today by Karina Dervidis, Senior Water Planning Engineer at Stantec. And today we're talking about breaking the bias, how the women of Stantec are addressing gender disparity in STEM careers. Karina, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
You're a water and sewer civil engineer. You must know better than anyone what it's like for a woman working in this industry. Tell me about it.
Yes. So I think the main thing that stands out is that you're usually one of only a few, if any, in a lot of groups. You know, you're the only woman in those groups. And over time, it's something that you get used to. But I think when you're starting out in your career, it's something that stands out to you. You know, where are the other women?
The statistics are quite compelling. You mention in your work that about 29% of women make up STEM careers. But when it comes to engineers, it's even lower than that.
Yeah, that's right. It's surprisingly low, and it's something that has remained fairly constant for a long time. There's just, I think that's something that as an industry we need to work on. How do we encourage more women to consider engineering?
You have been working in a Women in STEM group with Stantec. Can you tell us why you got involved and what that group's been doing?
I started the group in 2022 because I hadn't been in the company for long, but I couldn't see any other women-type groups, which I think are important when women make up a minority in areas like engineering. You know, it's good to have that support. So word spread. A few of us got together. I think at the moment we're under just around 20 members. And we started discussing what can we do as a group that will be of benefit. Because I think as women, you know, we want to do good things. We want to be useful, that kind of thing. So we eventually settled on addressing the gender gap. The gap that there is in the industry with that we need to get more women. And we thought, how do we do that? And then we started looking at, you know, do we address primary schools? Do we address high schools? Eventually, we settled on high school students because they're at that critical point in their career, or in their lives, where they have to start thinking about career choices. And some of them, you know, students in grade 10 are at that point when they need to start picking subjects that kind of align with where they want to go in the future. So we thought, yes, let's do a work experience program. Engineering is one of those areas that it's hard to explain exactly what you do. There's virtually no media representation like what you get with medicine and fields like that. So we thought, let's show them what we do. And that's how we started developing the work experience program.
So what did the work experience do that perhaps wasn't already happening organically?
I think it just showed young high school girls what exactly we do and our contribution to the industry. And I think hopefully it also eliminates some of those perceptions that they might have that you need to be exceptional at STEM subjects. You need to, you know, be somewhat of a tomboy. You know, these areas are for men, you know, just exposing them to how those perceptions are not true. And, you know, showing them that we are women of different backgrounds, different career levels. We're at different stages in our careers, and it's something that they can achieve too if they're interested in a career in STEM.
Karina, it feels like this program looked not only at the visibility, you know, that women work in engineering and here they are, but also looks at the confidence that particularly young women may experience around STEM subjects. Why do you think confidence is such an important factor, and why did you do so much sort of analysis of that issue of confidence?
I think in looking at why is there not a bigger representation of women in the engineering industry, I think, we had a chat amongst the women in STEM members about our own experiences. And then I also started looking at the statistics. There's this perception by parents, teachers, just the general public that these are not careers for women. And I think that has trickled down to female students. When I was in high school a million years ago, women were not necessarily encouraged to consider these careers, whereas it was something that was a bit more encouraged for boys. I think it also didn't help that I didn't really have any female engineer kind of role models. And I think just that perception, that general perception has trickled down, and it's kind of, just with any stereotype, it kind of starts sitting in your brain that these are not careers for women because women are generally not good at maths or not good at this.
Karina, how did the work experience program work?
The trial program began in December 2022. So initially we put a call out just within the Stantec Brisbane office to see, does anyone have, daughters in grades 10, 11 and 12 who are maybe thinking about a career in these fields who might be interested in doing work experience with us. And at the same time, we reached out to the Brisbane office to say, who wants to be part of this program? Who wants to host, a student for a few days a week or, for a week maximum? Because being a multidisciplinary company, for us, it was important to not just show what civil engineers do, but what, this breadth of, different careers and different fields, what they do. So we had a little bit of interest from Stantec parents. Someone also reached out to one of the local girls' schools, and there was a few hands up on that side saying, yes, that sounds great. How do we do this? At the same time, we had lots of interest from different work groups in Stantec. So we thought, perfect, we have people willing to help. We have people willing to participate. Let's put them together. And then we started planning, how do we do this? What are the requirements? What do students want to see? How do we give them exposure to all the different, career options that there are?
You're listening to the Australian Water Association podcast series, and I'm speaking with Karina Dervidis from Stantec. Is it challenging to get students into your office or into your industry as a work experience student?
I think it's something that really needs to be driven by the school, because originally we didn't reach out to students individually because, you can't do that. But reaching out to the schools, and then I think that encouragement from them to say, hey, here is an option if you want to consider these careers. It's a good opportunity to see what it is. So I think going forwards, it's something that, just forming those partnerships with schools and just getting that interest on that side would be good.
And did you have many students take up the opportunity?
Yes, we had. So we had to actually put a limit to the number of students just because of resourcing and, because we still, in the office, we still had to carry on with our everyday work. So it was something we needed to juggle on the side. So last year we put a cap on 5 students. This year we've had to definitely reinforce that 5-student cap. But I think going forwards, once we start putting these processes in place and it's something that we can easily, manage going forwards, it would be great to have more students.
Fantastic. And who knows, they might end up working for you as graduates? I mean, that would be a great outcome.
Yeah, it would be great to, keep in touch with them because they've all showed a lot of interest, a lot of promise. They were very smart in that they picked things up really quickly. And, it would be great to keep that relationship going.
I imagine there's a real benefit for schools too. I just remember how much you often scrambled when work experience time came up. So having opportunities and employers that are willing to have you there and want you there, that's got to go a long way.
Yes.
What advice would you have for other companies wanting to do this?
I mean, I started out as an individual and then we all came together as a group. But I think for me, the biggest thing was having someone sponsor you and help you through and encourage and say, this is a great program. Let me know if you need any help or reach out to me. And I think it's something that can be relatively easy to implement in different organizations. Students these days I feel like they're so much smarter than what we were. So it's, in terms of giving them work, use an old project. There are some regulations in terms of what you can and can't give them, but don't be afraid to just give them the hard stuff. They'll find a way.
I wanted to ask you about Stantec more generally because we talked about numbers of women in engineering being quite low. And in fact, I think you mentioned they're around the 13% mark. So even less for STEM careers. Engineering doesn't do as well in terms of representation. But Stantec does a lot better than probably the average engineering company. Is there a reason for that, do you think?
Personally, I love working at Stantec. I don't know if that's a biased opinion or not, but I think Stantec is already doing a lot to encourage women to join Stantec and just to have that broader diversity. Outside of the work experience program, they have been involved in other engineering initiatives and other, STEM initiatives where they talk to students, they talk to schools, they participate in those kinds of programs where they say, careers in engineering and STEM are great.
What do you think's next for your Women in STEM group? Have you got big plans or something new you're going to try this year?
So this year we have actually been engaged by one of the local high schools in a partnership program where we go and speak to students once a term and provide be part of a workshop where they ask us questions and, we try to give them as much information about these careers as we can. We're also doing work experience in the winter holidays and hopefully again in the summer holidays. There's also, further engagement with schools, basically seeing what opportunities we can take.
And advice for young women thinking about a career in engineering, Karina, what would you say?
I'd say go for it. You don't need to be the best person at maths or science. You just need to have an interest in these areas. And there's so much more than just the numbers. There's all of this communication and teamwork, and there's so many aspects to engineering. And it's for me personally, it's such a fulfilling career. It can take you anywhere. There's so many opportunities out there. It's a great career to consider.
I've been speaking with Karina Dervidis, Senior Water Planning Engineer at Stantec. Thanks for your time, Karina.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.